Oh, just read that one. Yeah. This is Miss Khalil Wilkerson. She's a 31-year-old wife and seems to be mother of 2 girls. She will soon publish her first book and has recently accepted a position as director of outreach at Christian Life Church of Birmingham. Khalil is currently working on a master's degree in counseling at UAB and is passionate about speaking to women regarding body image, self-esteem, and wellness.
How are y'all doing tonight? Well, my name is Khalil Wilkinson, and it's an honor to be here tonight. Purity is not an easy thing to talk about. It's something that we see every day. You can watch TV, on the internet, driving down the street, looking at a magazine. It doesn't matter what you're looking at, where you go. There are suggestive messages everywhere. So I just want to applaud all of you for being here this evening, being bold enough to be here this evening, because you being here is telling me that you desire more in your life than what you're seeing on the streets every day, what you're reading, what's on the internet, Facebook, all of that. So give yourself a hand for being here tonight. So I guess I can begin my story at the age of 15. When my mother married, she decided that family should move to South Carolina where her husband lived. And so at 15, we moved from Fresno, California to Orangeburg, South Carolina. I don't know if y'all know where Orangeburg is, but it's about this big. And it was definitely a culture shock for me. I was a junior in high school. I was faced with having to try to integrate into a population that I was not familiar with, so to speak. The people that were at the high school that I went to, basically from kindergarten all the way up, they had formed relationships. So it was definitely a tough time for me. I had found a positive outlet through sports. So I started running track for the high school that I was attending, and that's when I met my first boyfriend. And we began dating, and at the age of 17, I became active. And so, of course, in high school, you think the one that you're going to be active with is the one you're going to be with forever, right? So that was the thought in my mind, that if I took this step, then we'd be together forever. And of course, that did not happen. We both graduated, we went to separate colleges, and the relationship ended. And that was probably the second most impactful thing that happened to me. Not only relocating where I didn't have family, but then thinking I was going to be with someone, and that failed. So, basically threw myself into the college lifestyle. Any college students in here? Any? Okay. So y'all know what college is like. So pick and chose what classes I wanted to attend, what classes I didn't, and slept in when I felt like it, and just totally took it upon myself to enjoy that freedom, so to speak. I didn't have my mom and my dad, stepfather, hovering over me, checking what time I walked in the door. So I didn't set those boundaries for myself. I just said, hey, it's freshman year, I'm gonna do what I want to do. So from that, basically realized that I was separating myself more and more from God, and I just woke up one morning and could see, it's like God was playing my past few years in these relationships, in and out of these relationships, and trying to figure out why. It was like I could just see that tape. And I realized that was a major root to me trying to fulfill myself or fill that void in these relationships that I found myself in. So it was a tough time for me. I realized that it wasn't about the sex or the intimacy or the material things that I would get from these relationships, or feeling validated because I was with someone who looked like they had it all together, whatever the case may be. It wasn't about all of that. It was as if God was showing me there's more to it, and it's deeper than that. And one day it was just as if he said, you know, you're seeking validation from others, and you're trying to fulfill who I've called you to be through someone else, and that's not where I need you. And it was tough. It was very tough. So for the next 2 years, I stopped dating. I developed what I call tunnel vision. And I just worked and worked and worked. And I wouldn't look to the left or to the right. And I wouldn't go on dates. And I wouldn't go to restaurants, even if my meal was paid for. No, thank you. You know how we do, ladies. You're not interested, but you still go just because it's a free meal. Again, it wasn't easy. There were some nights where I'd cry myself to sleep. There were some nights where I'd have to turn the phone off because you get those repetitive phone calls that you're trying to ignore. There were some nights I had to call an accountability partner and say, please talk to me. Please hold me accountable right now. It was a lot to go through, but the process was definitely worth it. My surroundings started to change. My habits, my circumstances, my tastes, my desires, you know. Things just started to shift. And I began to come to a point where I was feeling like if I can say, my authentic self. I just felt like I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm comfortable with who I am. I'm not seeking validation. I felt free. I felt, you know, I'd wake up smiling. I'd wake up just feeling like God's presence was around me. And it was a process, again. I don't want anyone to think this happened overnight. It was definitely a process. So I met my husband, and we began dating. And it was probably the first time I was straight up and just honest with the guy I was in a relationship with right away, and just I told him firmly, you know, what my boundaries were. And I told him what I wanted out of a relationship. I told him I'm not dating just to date. I told him this is not, you know, if you're in it just to date, I'm not in it just to date. I told him that I'm striving to live for God, and if that's not what he's trying to do, this tunnel vision was working for me, so, you know, I can keep my tunnel vision. And you know what? He respected that. And it was a blessing to me. He didn't just respect it in word, which often happens in relationships. Yeah. Where we just say, oh, okay, that sounds good, yeah. And they still try, male or female. You know, it goes both ways. It goes both ways. But he respected it, not just in word, but in deed. He would hold me accountable. I held him accountable. You know, when he would come to visit on the weekends, because we lived in 2 different cities at the time, I'd want to just hang out and chill, go, you know, walk the mall or whatever, and it'd be a Sunday, and he'd be like, get up, go to church, you know. And I never had someone make me hold myself accountable to what I said. You know, it's easy to say it, but then someone else is making you stick to it, and it was refreshing and kind of frustrating at the same time. What is he doing? But I so appreciate that. Like I said, we held ourselves accountable. We went to church together. We set a foundation very early on in our relationship to respect one another, and to put our trust in God and to allow Him to do the rest. We didn't, and I don't have this in my notes, but I just feel the need to say this. We didn't say we're never going to have sex together. That, to me, is foolish to try to set that standard. We said each day we're going to attempt to respect each other. Each day we're going to take it a day at a time. We didn't put this high measure of, you know, we're never going to do this, because, you know, we would be setting ourselves up. But what we did say was each day we're going to respect each other. Yeah. And just taking it a day at a time It's so much easier than trying to set these high and mighty goals as if you're not flesh, as if you're not human, you know? And so that helped me. That helped me that we would walk out together a day at a time. It's amazing. Once I allowed God to begin what I refer to as the pruning process in my life, He began to move obstacles out of my life, things that were hindering me and stunning my growth. They just started to almost disappear. I mean, I wouldn't even have some thoughts that I felt like I would constantly have. They just kind of faded away. And it's amazing that He loved me enough to do this. And you know what? He loves you enough to do this too. I'm no one, special to where it just happens to me. It can happen for anyone. I have a quote, and I know I'm about over time, but I have a quote from Andy McLean. And I found this, and I just thought it was awesome. And it says, through the pruning process that God develops, it is through the pruning process that God develops His strength in us and molds us with His character and His appearance so that we can serve Him for eternity. And I just thought that was so beautiful because the pruning process hurts. And if anyone is going through that process or is considering that process, it's not an easy thing to go through, but it's so worth it. So worth it. I wouldn't give up during this process. I knew that I wanted God more than what the world had to offer me, and I knew that His way had to be better than mine because I had tried my way for so long. And so it got to a point where I just had to hold on to what I felt would be better. 2 Corinthians, I have something here, 2 Corinthians 4, verse 16 through 18 in the Message Bible. It says, so we're not giving up. How could we? Even though on the outside, it often looks like things are falling apart on us. On the inside where God is making new life, not a day goes by without His unfolding grace. These hard times are small potatoes compared to the coming times, the lavish celebration prepared for us. There's far more here than meets the eye. The things we see now are here today and gone tomorrow, but the things we can't see now will last forever. And that's 2 Corinthians 4, verse 16 through 18. It's in the Message Bible. That's how it reads. And I just love the way it says, these hard times are small potatoes. I just love that. I just think that's so beautiful. I just want to leave with this one last thought. If you are currently active or are contemplating taking that next step, quote unquote, in your relationship, this conference, this moment is not a moment of judgment. And I don't want y'all to leave here thinking this is a moment of judgment, that we are judging you, or anything like that. I've been where you are. I want you to know that God loves you. He loves you so much. His arms are wide open. And He's waiting to hold you. And He's waiting to embrace you. And He wants to share His love with you. So just trust God. Trust that what He has in store for you is far better and greater than anything this world could ever offer you. The final verse that I want to share with you comes from 1 Corinthians 10, verse 13. And it says, no test or temptation that comes your way is beyond the course of what others have had to face. All you need to remember is that God will never let you down. He'll never let you be pushed past your limit. He'll always be there to help you come through it. And I just want to thank you guys this evening for being here. Like I said, you being here is just showing that you want more than what the world has to offer you. And I pray that my story or a snippet of my story will bless someone in this room tonight. And if anyone wants to talk personally afterwards or wants me to pray with them, I will stick around for a little while after the conference, and I'll make myself available to you. God bless you.